This podcast is brought to you by all of our beautiful anime addicts in our community, and we thank you so much for being a part of our show every week and being on our Discord. If you would like to support the podcast, you can go to aapodcast.com/join or Patreon. Hey, you get a lot of extra content. We give you an insane amount of extra content for supporting. We give you 8 exclusive podcasts per month. We give you our Hobby Addicts. We just did one where we talked about video games for a whole hour. We give you our hentai episodes, and we're one of the only podcasts on the internet that actually ever talks about hentai. And we also do our after parties where we just shoot the shit after the show. It all adds up to 8 exclusive episodes a month. And since we've been doing this for so long, there's a backlog of like over 1,000 of these that you get for basically the price of a trip to Starbucks. So you can go to aapodcast.com/join or Patreon, help out the podcast, be a great anime addict, and support the community. And now, time to start the show.
Get ready! You're about to listen to the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Make your anime addiction worse at aapodcast.com. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Heyo, what's up? It's the 686th episode of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Sunday afternoon, 5 p.m. EDT, as always, here on Twitch. My name's Caroline. We got Mason here. Hey, Mason.
That's my name. Yo.
That is. Yo. We also got Mitsugi, as in Church of Mitsugi. What's up?
Sipping on gin and juice. That's what I'm literally doing right now.
Gin and juice. Got my ISP. Mason, you got your water?
I got the water.
You're the only hydro homie here. Thank you all for joining us once again. It is great to be here to talk all about anime, make your anime addiction worse. You can join us live, as I said, on Twitch every Sunday, 5 p.m. EDT at twitch.tv/AAA podcast. You can also join us on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and also Discord. If you go to AAAdiscord.com, it will take you right to us, and you can join all sorts of fun conversations. We also have our merch shop, AAAshop.info. And finally, we have Waifu War updates.
Oh my god, the waifu war. It just never stops. Except it will. Pretty soon here because we're in the final. We're down to just 2 characters now in the waifu war. And it's not who I thought it would be. Yeah, very exciting. So Ai Hayasaka from Kaguya-sama Love is War continues her reign of terror and wins the Battle of the Maids, curb stomping Rem from ReZero by a margin of 55% to 45%. Very, not even close, really. I expected more, honestly, out of Rem, but Rem just, I don't know, everyone has a bad game, so she shit the bed. Yeah. Meanwhile, 02 stacks another body on the pile and does what nobody else could: defeat the greatest foe of all, recency bias. Makima from Chainsaw Man falls to 02, 47% to 53%. So, very good stuff, I would say, honestly. So right now we're in the final. You can vote at waifuwar.net, or you can go to our website and you can scroll down a bit and click the banner. Or if you're on the Discord, you can get through the Discord. But right now the final is Ai Hayasaka versus 02, and I will tell you right now that we've already had about half the amount of people vote that normally vote, and right now 02 is winning by about 7%. So it's not especially close at the moment, but you know, that doesn't mean you shouldn't vote. So it is free, it is fun. So you go to waifuwar.net, you can vote, or head over to our website, aapodcast.com. And I'm thinking next year.
We've seen bigger swings happen. So if you are like a 02 fan and you're like, oh, she's in the lead, I don't have to do anything. No, you gotta support your girl. And if you're an I fan, it's not out of reach. You can still get in there and change the game. So
Yeah,
please
I mean, I'm thinking next year we won't do Waifu War. We'll do We'll do best anime. Maybe we'll just do.
Or
animes.
maybe it's the time for the husbandos.
Yeah, but no one cares about husbandos. Most of the husbandos, it's just gonna be
care.
Gojo. It's just gonna be Gojo anyway winning. I mean,
There are so many better husbandos out there, though.
It's true. It's true.
Well, I don't know. A lot of the husbandos are like Yamada-kun, who has the personality of like a piece of gravel. That's like what you're. I don't know. We'll talk about it, but we'll see if we do something next year. But moving on.
Or maybe we can come up with a few ideas and have people take a poll, and whichever wins, we will do.
No, the bracket will be what bracket they want us to do the next year.
Great idea. Great idea. Right. So let's talk about what we will be doing this episode. Our main topic is continuing that of last week's movie versus series, part 2, Electric Weeaboo. Today we'll be talking about anime series, or sorry, other way around. Anime movies that just might be better if it was made into a series. And we also have the review of My Love Story with Yamada-kun at level... I can't talk! Oh my god! Level 999! So with that, let's go into our big news of the week.
Level 999 だな.
It makes no sense, but we'll go with it.
I noticed that.
大ニュースです。It's time for big news of the week.
Unless I missed it, at no point in that anime do they ever mention level 999.
They really don't.
I have no idea.
It doesn't really even fly off the tongue very well.
Nope.
So what's the point of it being in
Nope.
the...
Okay,
We'll get into that later.
We're not at the review yet, but I think it just makes it more memorable. Like, I think there's 10,000 other Yamadas out there, and having level 999. Anyway, what do you got, Mitz?
I have two big newses because I was going to make a testicle joke, but I thought Caroline wouldn't like that, so let's move on. Hajime no Ippo, the boxing manga, has exceeded 100 million copies in circulation, which is pretty big because only 14 manga have ever done that. So it is now tied for 14th all time as far as manga sales go. It's just behind Attack on Titan. So the 138th volume of... I'm gonna assume Shonen Jump. I don't have it written down here, but pays homage to the manga cover pays homage to the first volume of the manga, which is very interesting, which released in Japan in 1990. It's fucking crazy. This manga is 33 years old, and Morikawa expressed gratitude to the fans of the manga for the milestone, and added that the manga is, quote, only halfway finished. The story is only half finished and asks fans to continue their support. And honestly, this manga is already 500 chapters longer than One Piece. It's fucking crazy. It's so long. But the question is, how far will it rise in the ranks against the other like all-time greats, and as far as sales? And I have the link here for you guys, and I'm looking at it. And my personal opinion is, I think it will pass Attack on Titan because Attack on Titan is finished. But I do not think it will get to JoJo. It's not going to pass JoJo because JoJo has the same number of volumes in a similar amount of time, and
it's still coming out.
And it's still coming out, and the sales numbers per volume are actually slightly higher for JoJo. So I don't think it could catch JoJo, and I don't think it will catch Bleach either, because even though Bleach is finished, Bleach has 30 million more sales. So it could. I mean, if he's really serious about it only being half finished, I mean, it could catch a lot of these, but we'll have to see, because Morikawa's like in his 60s, I think. So, but it would at this pace, it would need something like 60 more volumes to catch Bleach, and I just don't think it's going to happen. So I think it will catch Attack on Titan, but I don't think it'll catch the rest. What do you guys think?
I think, honestly, as much as we talk about anime as a medium, as entertainment in itself, I think it really depends on if Hajime gets more anime adaptation to fuel those sales. Like, I think Bleach probably was dead and gone, but with its 1,000-year Blood War coming out, it's getting a boost, and I think Hajime kind of needs that as well to really push into those upper echelons.
Yeah, I agree with Mason on that.
I do know that when you go to Kokuichiban in Japan and eat your curry, which if you don't do that, you really should because it's so fucking good. They always have a lot of mangas in their little restaurants, and there's always tons of ippo in those restaurants, and it's just very like, man, I tell you, like honestly, there are very few things more nostalgic to me than just sitting down with a perfectly tailored bowl of curry in Japan and reading like a manga that you can barely understand. I mean, it's just very special to me, and I encourage everybody to go to Koku Ichiban in Japan if you have the opportunity and pick up a manga and just flip through it while you're eating. And you may not be able to read it, but boy, it's just a special experience. That's how I feel.
Just pretend that you're reading it. Just pretend that you know Japanese and be like, wow, omoshiroi.
It's true. Omoshiroi. So yeah, there was a point in time when I was translating one of the code case closed like movie manga editions because my Japanese was that good, and I couldn't even come close now. It's really sad, but that's what happens when you don't live in the country for a long time. My second big news is that James Cameron states that he will work on a new Battle Angel Alita film, according to Forbes, and he says that, quote, on Avatar, I'm working in Wellington and Los Angeles, and on the new Alita Battle Angel film, I'll be working in Austin. I'm just surprised that they're making more of this, honestly, because I'm pretty sure the first one lost money. So I don't know why they would make more. The film earned $400 million worldwide. It had a $170 million budget. You normally add about 50% to marketing, so I'm going to say the budget was around $250. And the movie made $400 million, which sounds like a $150 million budget, but then you got to remember that the studio only gets half of that because the theaters take half. So the movie probably only made the studio about $200 million, and it cost at least $250. So I think the movie probably lost money, or it either broke even or lost money. But I'm just really surprised they're going to make more of this. And my questions to you guys are: do you want more Battle Angel? Do you give a fuck? Did you see the first one? Did you care? Did you like it? Like, what were your thoughts on it?
I saw the movie, and while it was not my favorite movie ever, just because, like, I don't know, I wasn't really quite feeling it, but I was proud to go see it because I'm like, oh wow, like this is big budget Western movie about a manga, and like I would probably go see a second one just to support it, but it wasn't really the production that, you know, made me dislike it. It was just like, oh, this just isn't my type of story, you know? Or at least
sure.
That's the impression I got. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if I watched the original stuff or read the manga or something, I would feel different, but I don't know.
Yeah, I never watched the film, but like we talked about James Cameron a couple weeks ago. He makes a ton of money on a ton of really good films, and then he says, I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm going to explore the depths of the ocean, and I'm going to make Battle Angel Alita. And I think that's a good thing for anime from what I read. It's a better adaptation than a lot of the other live actions we tend to get. So, yay, but I probably still won't go see it.
This was one of the first movies that Pancake and I ever saw together, which is pretty cute. But I will probably see it if it comes out, but I'm just surprised. I don't know how long. It's going to be a while, honestly, because the Battle Angel, because the Avatar movie made the new one made like $2.2 billion in the box office, and now they have 5 more Avatar movies lined up. So I don't know if it would take the completion of all of that to get to Alita, but I can't imagine they're going to throw aside a movie that's making $2 billion plus per film for a movie that only made $400 million the first time and would probably make less this next time. It just doesn't seem like a smart financial move. If he does it in the middle of the Avatar movies, it's going to be because he truly loves Alita. Because if I was a studio trying to make money and nothing else for my shareholders, I would definitely not allow him to do Alita before I did finish up Avatar at this rate. But
yeah, and I feel like even if it did come out, there are going to be so many people that did go see the first movie and probably don't really remember what happened in it at that point. So that might be a bit of a problem.
I don't remember. I know it was not Steel Ball Run. The fuck?
JoJo!
Whatever. I don't know. All I remember about that movie was how gigantic her eyeballs were.
Yeah, they were massive.
They were a choice. I mean, I'm just excited at least that we're finally going to get something that gets away from the intro, because the OVA was awesome. That was just like 2
Oh, yeah.
episodes.
It was
the movie
awesome.
was seemingly kind of cool, but it's just the intro. So hopefully we can finally break free of like the ceiling that's been limiting Battle Angelita. So I mean, I'm all for it.
The bottom line is, anime is becoming mainstream, which means that in 10 years' time, anime could be getting the treatment that Marvel got. It's possible. Think about this. You go to a high school. I have friends that teach in high school. And they tell me all my fucking kids all day long are talking about My Hero. They're talking about Jujutsu Kaisen. They're talking about this and that. These kids that are in high school today will be income earning, job holding, spending adults in 10 years. And who wants to make money off of all these fucking fans that are coming up right now? Everybody. So don't be surprised in 10 years when anime movies are literally coming out of the fucking woodwork, because the people that fell in love with anime in high school and kept up with it have money to spend, and they want their money, and they will be making movies. So just hang in there for that 10 more years, and I would not be shocked at all if you have like a Shonen Jump, whatever the fuck, Marvel
Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
God, it's so... I'm not a fan of Marvel, but like, Shonen Jump Cinematic Universe. It's the most pretentious shit ever to say it like that, but like, honestly, you're going to have the SJCU. Here it comes. So just wait for it. It could happen, and I'm fucking here for it.
Yeah, My Hero Academia movie in live action, it's only a matter of time.
How about
Even
5
if
of them?
It would look ridiculous because it has such a specific and quirky, if you forgive the pun, kind of style
Oh my
to it.
God. What? Did you just...
That was... What?
Did you just... What? Did you just fucking like go ham with the puns?
No.
Channel
that was
Kazuo.
It was actually not intentional until I actually said
sure
it, and I
it
realized,
wasn't.
like, oh yeah. No, but seriously,
She's-
like, can
she's
you
just that
imagine
good,
a live
Mason.
action? Can you imagine a live action All Might? Like, if you're gonna make him like accurate to the manga and the anime, having All Might in live action is just gonna look really weird. Like Mitsuki is right now, looking through his Church of Mitsuki hat.
This is his casting audition for All Might.
Listen, I'm a little tipsy already. I just want you guys to know, any fucking one of you comes to Denver, you hit me up on the Discord, I take you to dinner. End of story. Dead
All right.
serious.
You heard him.
Dead fucking serious. Because I love
You're
you.
getting a little wild already, Mitsuki. So you need to like dial it back.
Yeah, that's what Pancake
Drink
would say.
some water.
Pancake would say, it's, oh my God. It's Saturday morning, it's 8 a.m., you have this much energy. Just too much. Dial it down.
All right, well, I say we head into the next piece of news, which Mason and I will be sharing here.
Oh, wow,
So
you're gonna
we
share.
got, well, because originally my news was going to be his news. He had already claimed it. So we're like, let's just split it.
You guys,
so we got,
that is so fucking cute.
oh, yeah, like,
You guys are gonna
Aw,
share news.
why?
Oh.
We're going to say that at the exact same time. Our news stories, they're going to be completely different. You got to channel one of us in the left ear, one of us in the right ear. Listeners are going to have to go back and replay it, swapping out ear. What do you got, Caroline?
all right, we got 2 season 2 announcements from the Dengeki Bunko 30th anniversary event. So a lot of people will be excited to know that Sword Art Online alternative Gun Gale Online Season 2 has been greenlit. Whoop whoop. So I feel like Sword Art Online alternative Gun Gale was like arguably it got a lot of people more excited than the original SAO for, some different reasons, like, different main character and in exploring one of the games that was in the original show, and it was from a different writer. Some people say better writer. But anyway, so the spin-off started in 2014, and the anime came out in 2018, and yet 4 years later, we get the announcement that a season 2 will be in the works, and still likely through the same studio, Studio 3 Hertz from last time. So what was the other announcement, Mason?
We got another season 2. This one I thought was a bit more surprising. And that is that Sabikui Bisco will be getting a season 2.
I was also surprised.
Season 1 aired back in 2022. We actually talked about the show last week when we were
did.
discussing series that would be better as a movie. And I was like, oh, that had some good ideas, but, it went on for too long. Well, it's going to keep on going on, and we'll see how it is. Interesting, Studios OZ and NAZ, Oz and
I
Naz.
think
I
it's
don't know
just
how to
Oz.
pronounce them.
Oz
They don't
and ass.
put out much, so maybe they're like, hey, we're sitting on our hands. We might as well adapt more of it, and good for fans of the light novel. I can't say I'm too excited, but
I'll watch it. I'll
it.
volunteer because
You'll see what those
there are a lot
shrooms
of
are
it
up
that I
to.
like, and I'll do it for Pawoo more than anything else.
Pawoo, pawoo,
Pawoo.
pawoo.
All right. Well, I'll take both of these because honestly, I could watch more of both shows.
Okay, nice. Which
So,
one are you
I'm
more
already laying
excited for?
claim. It's already taken.
Already dibbed.
Yes.
Dib it.
Write it down. All right. So now with that's over with, let's get into our podcast topic for today, movie versus series. And as we mentioned before, what anime would have been better if it was made into a movie? Sorry. That was from last week, but it was still written here. Oh my gosh, I'm getting myself confused. What movie would have been better if it was a series? That is the topic for today. Now, Mitsuki, what do you have first on your list?
I have no idea because I don't remember.
Yeah, you blocked it out.
So I blocked
I'm
it out, but
curious.
it's a surprise to me as well. What
Blocked it out, and he got blacked out.
And I'm fucking intoxicated. So let me see if I can do this.
Oh goodness.
Steam Boy, the movie. Steam Boy. Have you guys seen Steam Boy? I know Mason's
I
seen
have not.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I just assume. Just assume at this point. Steam Boy was a really interesting movie, but it was, to me, extremely rushed in this film. And I haven't... it's an original property, so... It's not rushed in the sense that it didn't have enough time to adapt a manga or something to that extent, but it just seemed like an extremely fast-moving movie that I think was a little too fast because, man, the concept of the movie is so interesting. It's about a boy named Ray who is an inventor that lives in England, and he receives his package from the United States sent by his grandfather, and the package contains a device called a steam ball that is so powerful that it can drive any machine that requires steam, and it's just a very action-packed movie that he's riding around on the steam ball and flying through the sky and like engaging in like battle, and people want the steam ball for their own uses, and it's just very interesting. And it was a very like high-profile movie when this came out, but I remember it being not very good, mostly because it was just too fast. Not enough time to flesh things out, and I think it just needed a little more than its runtime, which was only 2 hours. And I think this movie could be a lot better with a little more time to kind of just breathe, to be honest with you. It did win the 2004 Best Animated Film Feature at the Catalonian International Film Festival, but honestly, I don't know. I didn't think it was that good. I don't know how Mason feels, but I just think it needed another 2 hours, honestly.
I'm trying to remember. It's been a very long time. I remember it like in a fugue state haze, but I felt like it was a very slow movie. So like maybe having it in bite-sized chunks would have made it easier to digest instead of like it felt like it just went on forever, but also didn't really get anywhere. So maybe having, more time to let it get to someplace more satisfying, but also in chunks so that you're not just bored out of your mind. I don't know. It was not my kind of movie. Maybe I should say I should rewatch it to really like reaffirm what I thought about it, but that's really all you need to know is that it didn't really leave a mark.
Well, the reason why I watched this movie in the first place was because it's directed. It's the creator, the director, and the script. It's all done by Katsuhiro Otomo, who is,
Yep.
another,
mostly known for the guy who did Akira.
Akira, yeah, but like, boy, it's gonna be. This guy's pretty old at this point. He's not as old as I thought. He's only 69. Holy shit, I thought he was in his 80s. Poor guy. Poor Otomo. I thought he was so much older, but he's been involved in so much good stuff, honestly, over the years that I really thought that that's why I watched this movie in the first place, because it's like you hear, guess who is also the original creator, script, and director of Akira? He's the original creator, script and director of both Akira and Steam Boy. So, but Steam Boy just didn't have the same pedigree. I just think it was a little too fast. Anyway, let's move on.
All right. So the first one on my list is Suzume. Now, you might find that like with a lot of the choices I made on my list, I've chosen movies that have a certain like slice of life quality to them. And Suzume being one of them, because even though I wouldn't say that Suzume is a slice of life movie, it has a lot of potential to having more of that kind of element as a show. So just like a general overview of Suzume, if you have not seen it, of course, it's the Makoto Shinkai movie that came out earlier this year, following a girl named Suzume who goes around Japan trying to close these mysterious doors that unlock like a supernatural entity that threatens Japan. So she goes around, she's trying to close the doors with her chair sidekick. And I won't explain that part any further. But most of the movie is a road trip. And I think that would be a really great show that could expand more on her journey and like her learning things about herself and about her travel companion. And they meet a lot of interesting people with lives around the country that help her out during her journey. So I think that this movie could be very well adapted into just a show with nothing added to it, but then also maybe just expanded upon more, because it's like a very pleasant like road trip movie. I think it could be even better in show form.
At
what do you
first, I didn't see it. I didn't agree with you. But then I completely forgot that my favorite part of this movie is just every like strong, independent woman she meets along the way and like helps them out and then they help her out. And you're just like, yeah. Oh wait, we have to go back to fighting the supernatural thing.
Yeah.
Boring. Like, yeah, I completely agree. If like just
And
some
then
of those
even so-
episodes were like one-offs. Hey, we met up with this person. Here's their life story. Here's how they interacted. Okay, bye. End of episode. Move on. Mushishi style. Perfect.
Yeah,
I like it.
And like and while and we agree that those were the best parts of the movie, one of the reasons why the supernatural stuff did not reach similar peaks was because I feel they were very poorly explained upon. Like I still don't quite understand like the cat and then the other cat that kind of appears later, and the overall villain of the movie, the supernatural entity, the world that it comes from, and how that connects to Suzume herself. I feel like that all needed more time and explanation to really make it a better climax overall. So I know what's going on.
Climax.
You should stop drinking, Mitz. Anyway.
Can't stop, won't stop.
I feel like making that into like a 12 episode show, maybe even a little bit longer. Like I would have to really think about how long this could possibly go, because 12 episodes actually sounds too short for what I want it to do, but 24 would be way too long, I think. I feel like if it was given more time, it could expand upon the details I feel were missed and also really take advantage of the best parts of the movie. And that's my first choice.
That's all she wrote.
Mason? He's frozen, so.
Damn. I guess I can go.
Yeah, you go again.
Back to me. Heading back to classics. Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind is one that. Listen, Nausicaa is a great film. Nausicaa is my waifu, but the movie is often criticized for not covering the whole manga and having a rushed and incomplete ending. There's not much more to be said. I mean, honestly, Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind is one of the most interesting, action-packed, and just mesmerizing tales that have ever been told. It was one of the oldest and first films done by Miyazaki, but the movie is only part of the story. And I really just feel like as maybe a 26 episode series would do a lot more for Nausicaa than a movie could do, to be perfectly honest with you. And we're not going to get it. We're not going to get a 26 episode series because Miyazaki's like 80 years old. How old is he? Let's look this up. I can't wait to see his new movie, by the
Just
way.
based on your previous expectations on age, it turns out Miyazaki is actually 35.
He's 82. I mean, good lord. January 5th, 1941, he was born. He's 82 years old, and I mean, the result of that is that you're not going to get a series of Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind, but this is a movie that didn't cover the whole manga, and to be perfectly honest, you'd be well served to have it, but I just don't think it's going to happen because Miyazaki's going to die, and then there's not going to be any, but it's just not going to happen, honestly.
His son, Mits, I know we
yeah.
don't like him, but
Goro.
maybe he can carry the torch.
Yeah, Goro Miyazaki. Yeah, right.
Why can't I talk today? Torch is what I was trying to say.
I can't talk because I can't feel my face, but I don't know what your excuse is.
I really don't know either. Did you
Interesting.
read the Nausicaa manga?
I have not because I'm
Or
not
was
much
the
of a
light novel?
manga reader.
I know,
yeah.
but I just know how much you love it, so I wasn't sure if you actually sat down because you read the 12 Kingdoms, so I wasn't sure if that was that kind of situation.
I did read that, and I should read Nausicaa and I should read Akira as well, but I haven't done that yet. But yeah, it would be really special to have this made into a lengthy TV series. I don't think it's going to happen. As if you recall, I'm not sure any Ghibli movie has ever been done as a series. They just have very, very traditional and tight controls over their films. But it would definitely be a good idea. I just don't see Miyazaki releasing this more than likely beloved title to anybody other than himself. So
I mean, I hate to say it in these kind of terms because it's pretty morbid, but when Miyazaki eventually passes, like the leadership of Ghibli is going to move to somebody else.
he's
So
going to
with
be
that being said,
this man.
Somebody who takes over his place could end up making that very sudden decision.
When Miyazaki dies, do they bury him with his apron? What do you think?
Does he wear an apron?
Oh hell yeah, he wears a fucking
He's
apron.
definitely getting buried with the apron.
He always has that white apron on. It's like
I
it's
don't know.
more.
I don't see him usually. He's not my neighbor or anything, Mitz.
It's like that would be, honest to God, if you had me. I just had a thought. How dope would it be to move to Japan and intentionally position yourself near where Miyazaki lives so you could just see him walking occasionally? Oh my God.
Little
That would
do
be
you
so
know
fucking
that he
awesome.
actually has a vacation home here in southern New York.
What? Is that true? That can't be true. That's
Kidding.
not true.
It's a joke. It's
No,
a joke.
Oh my God.
Miyazaki dresses like the.
I got it. Anyway,
You got it.
Mason, you're up.
Okay, so sorry. Just like side note, how much alcohol have you drank so far?
Not a whole lot, but I did have a dry
God.
June. I did have a dry June,
that?
so
Oh, you did.
it's hitting pretty hard. Blame Lady Emery. She's the one that was like, I'm going to buy Mitz's Frogu gin. It's so good. It's her fault.
All right, well-
Mason, you're up.
Mason, you go.
I'm holding my own pretty well, Caroline. I'd like you to know. Thank you.
You're very silly at the moment.
Well,
Mitz.
I'm always silly. It's just how I am.
in a very different way.
Oh, I see.
All right, Mason.
The first movie that would be better as a series is Fuse, Memoirs of the Hunter Girl. This is a pretty good movie that most people, I think, haven't seen, but they should because it is stylish. The problem is that it's not very cinematic. It doesn't feel like a movie at times. It looks good, but it doesn't have that swell and sway and just general structure that you're used to in movies. And really, it tells the story of this girl named Hamaji, and it really doesn't have enough time to tell her story, and it feels a little lackluster because of that. It is on Retro Crush, and it is pretty good, so you can check it out. I recommend it. But this is definitely one of the, you were talking about Nausicaa, Mitz, about how there's a bunch more of the manga that hasn't been adapted. The story that Memoirs of the Hunter Girl is from, the Nanso Satomi Hakenden, is a novel consisting of 98 chapters and is considered the largest novel in the history of Japanese literature. So if there's any movie where there's more content to adapt, it is this one. It actually follows 8 fictional warriors that are all from different families and connected spiritually. So you could just tell more one-off shots of these characters because it was super cool. And they come together and there's all this fighting and it's a rad time. And I just want to see more of it. I just want a whole series of it. And the movie was just like a glimpse into the world and it was really unique. But it left me wanting more. So I'm gonna say some that just need more content, and that's my excuse for it being a series. This one also just doesn't feel like a movie in a way. So check it out. It's a good movie, but it should be a series.
All right, so the next one on my list, because Mitsuki just went twice, is Kiki's Delivery Service.
Oh, it's so
Speaking
cute.
of Ghibli movies. Because Kiki's is not exactly like, it's not a story that is told often in a movie. It's, again, very slice of life, with, Kiki just performing witch-like duties around town and very chill, not really anything that's like there are major problems that she has to solve that would form like some massive movie climax. And in fact, like what they did have in the movie to kind of give it an ending, I thought was very shoehorned and was like my least favorite part of it. Like I love Kiki's.
You don't like the
I
ending?
I
With
just feel like the climax
contraption,
was just
like,
very
falling?
random.
Wasn't
I
that
just
what
felt
it
like it
was?
was.
With the
I can't
blimp?
even remember what it was. It was
It's a
just very
blimp.
random.
The
She had to
blimp.
save like her friend or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like that was not necessary in a story like Kiki's, which again is very Yashi K slice of life, just a cute girl doing cute things in a cute town. So I think this could be the new cute girls doing cute things in a cute town show, not necessarily a movie, because I feel
okay.
like there are so many different things that Kiki could be doing that aren't even shown in the movie. Like I feel like it could be a very long running series, if anything. So that is my second choice.
What was it? Wandering Witch? What was that show?
Oh my god.
I remember that one. I only saw like an episode of it.
She was kind of annoying, but
She wasn't no Kiki.
no.
Well,
for
nobody
sure.
is. Kiki's the fucking goat.
She's so cool.
Oh,
When
yeah.
I grow up, I want to be like Kiki
Me too.
with a little GG.
Yeah, me too.
You have a GG.
No, I don't. I have a Mako.
Well, yeah, it's close enough.
And sometimes he's a Mako reactor, but usually just a Mako. Is it Mason's turn?
Yeah, this
Mason,
one
you can
will
go
be
again.
quick. This is Gintama, the very final. This is the actual legitimate final movie from the long-running shonen series Gintama.
It'll never be
And,
finished.
Like, it's called the very final, but there was a couple like finals before it. It was kind of like the proto Attack on Titan in a way. But honestly, if you're gonna have a series run for that long, just end it with more television series because that's how people are used to watching it. And I get that you want to have a big, grand, climactic ending to like mark as a touchstone and monument, and I get that. But it wasted so much time to be a movie. Like it was just like, oh, well, we're at the ending, but we need to chew up an hour of just mindless fluff to pad out the runtime, and it just felt so underwhelming because of it. Like just stay as a TV series. It was fine up until then. Just continue as is. I didn't need it as a movie. It just felt like a waste of time and really soured my experience on the end of what otherwise is a pretty solid series. So I don't like it. I don't like it. Keep it as a series.
Mm-hmm.
I done like it. That's what Mason said.
I did not like it.
I done like it.
All right, Mitz, what do you have up next?
Let's see here. Well, this is going to throw you for a loop, but I'm going to say my next pick is the movie Jumanji. What do you think of that? You didn't see that shit coming?
Hit us with the bamboozle.
I just think Jumanji, it just won't be the same without Robin Williams, but it's a really fun film that I'd love to see in anime format, honestly. It wouldn't have to be a one-for-one carbon copy, but the movie is very fast-paced, and I could see them taking their time and having, like a couple rolls of the dice per episode. It's just so much stuff happens in that movie. It's very fast, and it's very interesting and exciting, and I'd love to see it in an anime format. So I throw you for a bamboozle because I picked a couple live-action movies that have never been in anime on my list, and one of those movies that I think has been redone, but I'd like to see it done in anime form, is Jumanji. Do you guys think you would like that?
Is Jumanji sort of an isekai?
Sort of like a reverse one, maybe. Because in that story,
because the stuff comes into the world.
yeah, Exactly. But it's coming into the real world. So that's the reverse, right?
So there's the magical shopping arcade Abenobashi
Mm-hmm.
anime, which is where like each episode they go from one world to another and they kind of like bounce around to medieval times and like Jurassic times, and it's
Yeah.
kind of like a Jumanji type thing, except they're going to the places.
But
I think it really
okay.
comes down to the comedy and humor of it. Like it's not a plot based thing; it'd just be a wacky hijinks. In a,
Well,
I mean, I could see it.
nobody
I could see
can
it.
replicate Robin Williams. I
No.
mean, he is one of the greatest ever. 1,000 years from now, they'll say Robin Williams was the GOAT, you know. But I mean,
He's like Kiki.
but it's such a fun, just a flexible film. Like you could do so much with it. Like you roll a fucking dice, you end up on a spot on the board or whatever. And anything can happen. It doesn't have to be the same thing that happened in the original movie or whatever. It could be literally anything. And so why not, is what I say.
Well,
why
you
the
could
fuck
do even
not?
more. You could the medium of animation is not bound by the 90s level CG that we got in the days.
Yeah, when like 60 monkeys come out of the fucking game or or whatever it was, or the elephants and
Pretty based, to be honest.
yeah. Oh, based. Oh.
Very.
Well, since you said it was based, I feel better. Caroline, have you seen the original Jumanji?
Caroline, look me in the eye and try spelling Jumanji.
Okay, well, it was just written on our doc.
I know,
so
but if you're not looking at it,
Answer the question.
Jumanji.
But have you seen the original Robin Williams film?
she
I
can
have
spell it. She can
seen-
see it. Definitely.
I have seen like parts of it, maybe like just a few minutes of it. But no, I have not seen the movie.
Oh no! Oh no!
Have you seen the what is it? The Rock version?
No, I have not seen this
Okay.
movie.
Okay. Well, at least then
No.
she hasn't like soured the experience.
That's
if she
true.
had seen that one, that would have been worse. You know.
I think I saw it on Netflix or something like the other night. I think this movie's on Netflix. It's a lot of fun. You should check it out. I really think you would like it. It's family friendly, you know.
Ah, yeah. So for my delicate eyes. it'll be
Yes,
good.
indeed.
So should I go next?
Of course.
Okay, so I only have one more thing left on my list, and that would be something that I feel like a lot of people have like a similar thought on, and that would be a silent voice. Because anyone that's read the manga knows there's a whole side plot that goes untouched in the movie. Now, is the side plot important? Not exactly, but that's what kind of gets us to know a lot of the side characters in the movie that we don't really get. So you watch the movie and like there's like this like red-haired guy that just kind of jumps in. He's like a friend of a friend to Yoshida, the main character. And we're like, why are you here? Because he doesn't really do much in the movie. But he's there in the manga because he's involved in this side plot that was not mentioned at all. So with that, and so there's obviously more to adapt, like more that could have been adapted. And overall, I think the show would feel a little bit more balanced because of that. We get to know the side characters a little bit more. And by the end, there's this whole situation that kind of breaks up their little friend group. And I feel like that would go a lot more smoothly, or you would feel a little bit more about it if you got that side plot. So I think a lot of people would agree if they that have seen the movie and read the manga that this is one movie that would definitely have been better as a series.
Okay.
Yeah, can't confirm based on the manga stuff, but
I haven't
I'd
seen
watch
that
more of
movie,
it.
so
it's good.
I haven't seen it. I'm just a
You haven't
loser.
seen A Silent Voice?
No, I haven't. I can't see everything. Okay. Right now I'm
I
watching
know,
Chernobyl.
but it was so popular.
Right now I'm watching Chernobyl, and it's just comical how they literally just inflicted all of that upon themselves. It's like in the Japan one about the nuclear reactor, it was like a fucking 100-foot tsunami. And in the Chernobyl one, it was just a bunch of people fucking around with like nuclear reactors. Oh my god. Anyway,
Caroline
moving on.
hasn't seen the movie. Oh my goodness, how haven't you seen it?
Oh,
Oh my goodness.
How?
Mitz
What is
hasn't seen the
wrong with
movie?
you?
Forgot time.
Whatever.
I know you can't equate Jumanji to Silent Voice, but they're both
I'm
good.
just saying I'm surprised that you escaped that one, Mitz.
It just slips through the cracks. You know what I'm saying?
We got to bully him to watch it.
Oh,
That's the
don't.
lesson of the
No,
movie.
no
That's what the
Ijiwaru.
movie taught
No
me. Bullying is
Ijiwaru.
cool.
Oh my god.
Ijiwanaide. Anyway, next is what?
Next is The Deer King. This is a movie done by the same person who did Moribito, Guardian of the Spirit. And I was really excited for it because it was grand and it was epic. It had these themes ranging from like pandemic, religious zealotry, political posturing, just all these different factions and groups coming together to like this huge conflict, but at the same time, having this more human underlying like found family story that just made you really connect to these characters, and it just had a lot going on. And this movie tried too hard to appease both camps, and it just made both feel kind of half-baked. Like it didn't have enough time to do anything right. And while both sides had promise, it just never got delivered. So it felt like too long as a movie because it just dragged, but it was too short because it actually didn't accomplish anything. So as a series, it'd be perfect because it would give it enough time to flesh it out, actually finally like connect the dots between the big and the small elements, and just really flesh out the characters to be compelling. So The Deer King had promise, but as a movie, absolutely dropped the ball. So as a series, I think it would have been much better. And
I didn't see it, so I can't really comment on it.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine if Moribito
You haven't seen it, Caroline? Oh, here it
No one
comes.
watched it.
You haven't
And no
seen
one-
it?
You're not
kidding.
missing anything.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah, it's disappointing because I know that it was really hyped by you.
yeah.
when it
I was like, yeah,
coming
like
out.
the second this got released as being a thing, I was like, oh, put it on the list, put it on the list. I'm so hyped, and it came out at a very topical time with its like themes of the pandemic and stuff, and it just did not hit any of the marks it was going for.
I'll tell you what does hit some marks. Spirited
Ooh,
Away.
What's that?
Spirited Away, my man. It
Okay.
seems like there's a lot of Ghibli movies that take on books. So Ghibli has a habit of taking on books for their source material. And because of that, they tend to rush their stories a little. I mean, Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, like, these movies are great, but honestly, they don't cover the books to their fullest. And I remember them saying something along the lines of like, oh, if Spirited Away had been adapted to completely, it would be like a 4-hour movie or something like that. And I'm just thinking to myself, well, that's fine, but like you can't really do a 4-hour movie. But because of that, sometimes when Ghibli puts these movies out, it would just be better if they had a little more time to breathe. It's the same comment. The same comment I made with Steam Boy. I mean, it's these mediums have the same problems no matter which direction you go. If you're picking movies that are series, you're looking for movies that are rushed. If you're looking for series that are good or better as movies, you're looking for series that have too much fluff in them. And Steam Boy, Nausicaa, Spirited Away, these are all movies that are very fast. They have a lot of content to cover in a short amount of time, and sometimes you wonder what they would look like if they had more time. And Spirited Away is certainly one of those, honestly. That movie definitely busts some ass in the last, half of it. I mean, and by that I mean it just moves really quickly to one thing to another. And one can't help but wonder what the movie would look like if it was broken out into, a 13-episode series, which gave it approximately double the runtime. That's not saying Spirited Away isn't amazing. It's, definitely one of the best animated films of all time. But, I wonder what it would look like if they had, 4 hours instead of 2 hours and 4 minutes. Do you guys have any similar thoughts?
I think I disagree.
Ooh!
I actually think I disagree too.
Oh.
I think the movie is such a rush and you're swept up in it, and things are happening, and then it just drops you back out in the world, and you're like, was it a dream? Was it like a passing fantasy?
Damn.
It puts you in that whirlwind, but then everything, spoilers, returns to normal at the end in a way, and you're like, whoa, what was that all? Well, it perfectly mirrors Chihiro's emotions at the time while still being formative and a great experience. So I don't know. I don't agree with that one.
I would have to say, like, I agree with Mason on that. And just like the way the story of Spirited Away goes, I can't really see it being broken up by episodes, you know? Like, and again, it could be done. I'm not saying it can't. I'm just saying I feel like it's very well suited to a movie. That being said, you did say that there was some unadapted stuff, which
which
feel
was
like would be worth to, you know, consider it like, oh, maybe it would be good as a show. But just as somebody who has not read the source material, I feel like a movie format suits it very well because, as Mason said, like the climax of the movie is very quick, and it just felt like, wow, like that felt like a dream, sort of.
Well,
and because everything goes back to normal.
And the movie, actually, I lumped it in with Howl's Moving Castle because Howl's Moving Castle is based on a novel, but Spirited Away is not. So I fucked that up.
So Howl's Moving definitely has a ton of unadapted stuff. Howl's is original.
It's still too fast though. You're literally like, oh, I'm in the bathhouse. I'm in the fucking train station. I'm at the witch's house. I'm back at the bathhouse. Now I'm riding a dragon. Blah blah blah. It's just too fast.
It is speedy, and
agree.
I
disagree
could
if you want, but
I could see how it gets split up. You know, with her first introduction and like being separated from her parents, meeting like Kamaji, and like her initial like contract signing, like a couple episodes of like working with Lynn, like meeting the different spirits. Like it could be broken up. Like I think it could. I just don't think it would be better for it.
All right, fine. Bad pick. Move on.
Sorry.
Damn. Boo, yeah. Is there a boo drop in here? Where the fuck is the boo drop? Mitsuki sucks. Where the fuck is it? There it is. Fine. Let him have it. What's next?
Next up, a really short one, which is 5-Star Stories, which is a movie I've talked about before, which is a super interesting, engaging, like, prologue movie. It's like an hour and 6 minutes long. It just, like, opens the door into this grand, one of the most epic odysseys of, like, Japanese manga ever. The 5-Star Stories is just, like, this career-defining work about these, like, 4 planetary systems and all these different kingdoms, and it's just this huge galactic piece. And this movie just is like, look at how cool it is, and just ends, and you're just like, that's it? It's over? It's what about all the rest of it? And it never got adapted into anything else. This manga has just been going on forever. There's, it's not, the size of Hajime no Ippo, but it's been around since the 80s.
What is?
So, yeah, it's just really neat, and I want to see more of it. And this was back in the day, because the movie was, I think, from like also the 80s. So like this is back in like OVA territory, where it's like you're getting a crumb of something that is definitely much bigger. So I would definitely want to see more of this. And if the series is how it happened, that's what I wish it was. So 5-Star Stories, pretty cool. Check it out.
Well, I think we should wrap it up here. What do you guys think?
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I have a couple more, but they're not. I don't need to discuss them, and we can move on and save more time for the review, I think.
Although we'll just give a quick shout out to Raggedy Doctor,
sure,
who recommended like the movies Burn the Witch and Howl's Moving Castle, as you mentioned earlier, to be better series than movies. And I've not seen Burn the Witch, but I have seen Howl's Moving Castle, and I think it could be a very
I agree with both of them.
Show. All right, well, let's head into our in-show weekly trivia question. What is the name of the game and guild that Akane plays and is a member of in My Love Story with Yamada-kun at level 999? We'll give you the answer after the news break.
Hey, Anime Addicts, Mitsugi is here, and I'm bringing you your anime news break. Starting off with Full Metal Alchemist news, which is not really in the news very often these days. But Square Enix and Marvelous have announced that they are going to be producing a second stage play of Full Metal Alchemist titled Full Metal Alchemist Sequel Chapter, or Hagane no Renkin Jutsushi. It's going to come out in 2024, and Sachiko Ishimaru is returning to direct the play and write the script. And they're going to be, Ed Elric is going to be reprising his role. Yohei Ishiki and Ryota Hirono are going to be both reprising their roles as the protagonist of Ed Elric. So the original stage play ran in Osaka from March 8th to the 12th, and then it ran in Tokyo from March 17th to the 26th. You probably won't be able to have an opportunity to see this unless you are in Tokyo. I will note that March 17th to the 26th is borderline cherry blossom season in Tokyo, so you could be an opportune time to travel to Japan, especially with the exchange rate being unbelievably almost at a historically favorable rate for people in the United States. You can have a just absurdly cheap trip to Japan, so you might want to check that out. Next up, Sword Art Online alternative Gun Gale Online is getting a second season, much to the fanfare of Sword Art fans everywhere. So this was announced at the stage play at the Beyond stage at the Dengeki Bunko 30th Summer Festival, which happened recently. The director is going to be Masayuki Sakoi, who has done quite a lot of things, including A3, Season, Autumn, and Winter, and it's going to be done by Studio 3 Hertz. The first season of the anime came out in the spring of 2018, so it has been quite a while, around 5 years. It adapted the first 3 volumes, and they're going to be continuing now. So if you're a fan of Sword Art Online, Gun Gale Online, look out, it's coming back. So get excited. Next up, Dragon Ball Super, Goodbye, Eri, Demon Slayer all rank on the New York Times July bestseller list, which is pretty neat. So the 18th volume of Dragon Ball Super ranked at number 7, Goodbye Eddie ranked at number 8, and the Demon Slayer first volume ranked at number 10. And the cover on the manga for Dragon Ball Super Volume 18 just looks super awesome. Just great visuals. So if you're a big fan of Dragon Ball, Demon Slayer, or Goodbye Eddie, these are pretty hot right now. So just good on Dragon Ball. It's like going into its 4th decade. I mean, it's just crazy that this is still around. So next up in the news, and lastly, the Irregular Magic High School is getting a TV series in 2024. So very popular property that just keeps on clipping along. So the original character designer Kana Ishida drew a teaser visual that you'll be able to see on Twitter if you want to check it out. There's also a promotional video that announced the news. So there's going to be returning cast, including Saori Hayama as Miyuki, Yuichi Nakamura as Tatsuya, and Kiyono Yasuno as Minami. So you are going to have quite a lot of recurring characters. And Jimmy Stone, an animation director and episode director on the previous projects for the franchise, is the director of the new series, returning at Studio 8-Bit. And Taku Iwasaki, a very famous music composer who did Gurren Lagann's music Now and Then Here and There, Black Butler, and a ton of other stuff, is returning to compose the music. So a lot of returning staff and cast for this upcoming installment of Irregular Magic High School. If you're a fan of the property, get excited because it's coming back. This was Mitsuki, and this was your anime news break. And now time to get back to the podcast. Here you are, jogging. Beautiful weather indeed, and you're looking good too, I might add. The blood is pumping, and so are these AAA podcast vibes.
Mitsuki, I want to take my balls out and lube up your head.
That is until your favorite podcast ends. Now you'll be left with no choice but to listen to the placid magnificence of nature. But you're a stink meaner, and you think nature can go get fucked.
Man, this some old bullshit.
If only you had the AAA Podcast's extra content, you wouldn't be forced to enjoy nature at all. We'd carry you all the way through the rest of your jog with our hentai episodes, our hobby addicts, and our after parties. Over 900 additional episodes of content. You think jogging gets your blood pumping? Just wait till you listen to some hentai episodes. And you'll be helping out the podcast as well. Plus, your grumpy ass won't be chasing birds anymore. Shut up, you noisy little shit. Don't be grumpy. Head over to aapodcast.com/join or patreon.com today and help out the podcast. Again, that's aapodcast.com/join or Patreon.
My name is Brett Weaver, voice of Toji Suzuhara. You know, from Evangelion. I'm a total anime addict.
When it comes to Pokemon, don't mess with Kazuo.
I was in 6th grade, and I had Pokemon on my Game Boy. I had a Game Boy Pocket, I think, at the time. I was in gym class, and we were in the locker room, and I'm getting changed. This kid runs by, grabs my Game Boy, and bolts. And so I never got it back. Kid stole my Game Boy with my Pokemon in it. So in 6th grade, one of my electives, I was a teacher's assistant. This kid had that teacher. So I basically went allegedly went into the computer and wrecked all of his grades
Yes.
and found his locker combination because the teacher keeps a record of all that. Allegedly broke into his locker, stole all of his Pokemon cards, which he had a ton of, and took all of his textbooks and threw them away. I think he assumed it was me. We did end up getting into a fight later on.
And you beat his ass.
Yeah, I got into a lot of fights in school.
You beat that kid's ass, didn't you?
Yeah,
'Cause you were
yeah,
used
definitely.
to fighting. Back to the show.
Welcome back to the pod. What is the name of the game and guild that Akane plays and is a member of in My Love Story with Yamada at Edaboru Kyuhyaku Kyuju? The answer is who cares? Just kidding. The game is called Forest of Savior and the guild is called Chocolate Rabbit. I would be so embarrassed to join a guild called Chocolate Rabbit.
Apparently, it's a very popular guild, so
Well,
they powered through that one.
fortunately, this
actually-
is not real life.
Tangent. I totally forgot to mention this at the beginning of the episode, but I won the Betting Degeneracies Mid Wars.
Yeah.
For me.
Oh, Meadow.
Man, I was hyped. I don't know if I could experience a similar hype ever again in my life.
Don't let
That
it go
was
to your
awesome.
head. Don't let it go to your head,
But you
Caroline.
could experience it again by signing up
That's true.
for the summer 2023 Discord Mid Wars.
Yeah,
So,
it's starting up again. I believe you can now hand in your submissions, and I think it'll close in a couple weeks. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure actually when it closes, but I need to start my shows so I can figure out what horse am I going to get behind this one, because I honestly have no idea. And just for context, I chose Dangers in My Heart as my horse for Mid Wars. And
do you want to explain what Mid Wars is really quick?
Oh, probably. So, Betting Degeneracy has a bet every season called Mid Wars, where at the beginning of the season they'll take all the shows that have currently under an 8 score at the beginning of the season. So everything that's already been scored beforehand, anything that's below an 8 is eligible. Everyone chooses a show, and we do weekly updates looking at the score of the week and see how shows rise and fall. And by the end of the season, whoever tops the mid-war score wins.
So essentially, you pick the show that is below an 8 on my anime list after a couple episodes air, and then see which one is the best show by the end. So you want a show that
Yeah.
starts off terribly but gets good at the end.
It doesn't start off terribly.
Well,
it
it can't be
starts
too
off
good.
mid.
It has to, if it's above an 8, it's disqualified.
Yeah, it's
So
qualified.
It's gotta
So
be
it's
just
mid.
bad enough that it's below an 8, but just good enough to be better than the rest.
And everyone laughed at me. Everyone said, Caroline, what are you thinking? Dangers in My Heart, you should have picked Insomniacs, but fuck Insomniacs. I beat them.
Oh shit! Caroline said the F word.
Oh! Because
This is a momentous occasion.
I was like, the entire time, I was like rising through the ranks every week. Insomniacs stayed at the top of the list every single week. And I'm like, damn it. Am I going to get, because I have a good amount of, I have a good rise going here. Am
Yeah,
I
momentum.
going to be able to shoot myself over Insomniacs by the end? And the final episode did it for me. I got an 8.3, and Insomniacs stayed at 8. And I'm like, yeah!
Well, we still have both those shows to review later, so we will see how that turns out on our scoring end.
Yeah.
But congrats, Caroline.
I'm going to enter mid-wards again, but I'm going in with the expectation that there's no way this will ever happen again. I will never win mid-wards again like this.
We'll see.
It was awesome. All right, what do we have next? Mailbags?
I think we have our
Time for
mailbag.
an almighty anime mailbag. Anime.
Mailbag.
If you want to leave a mailbag of a question or a comment, head on over to aaapodcast.com, hit the button at the top, and you can submit your whatever it is, just like Andrew did, who writes, "Hi, Anime Addicts team. last week I booked tickets to see the Royal Shakespeare Company's performance of My Neighbor Totoro in London in 2024. That sounds really cool, actually. There have been a few Ghibli stage adaptations already, but what other anime would you want to see take the stage? One possibility is a Cirque du Soleil style performance of Attack on Titan, complete with the colossal Titan breaking through the back of the stage early in the performance. I think a musical version of Death Note could be hilarious as well. All the best, Andrew. So, what are the anime you want to see on the live theater stage? Caroline.
Honestly, Cirque du Soleil doing Attack on Titan would be freaking amazing. Because I was just picturing, I'm like, oh my God, that would be so cool. And very in their wheelhouse, just like having so many aerial performances on their trampolines and like making it look like they have the ODM gear. Yeah, gosh. Like, I know it's just a theoretical, but somebody please make that. That would be great.
Pinch me, I'm dreaming.
And also, to relate back to another comment that they said about there being a musical version of Death Note, one already exists. Like, Death Note the musical does in fact exist. I believe you can watch it on YouTube, which I've been planning to do as well. And yeah, so just theoretical choices of what I would think would be a really cool thing to see on a stage. Welcome to the Ballroom would be pretty awesome. Because one of the things that I liked Welcome to the Ballroom, but I think what it really needs is a visual representation of the dances. And having like ballroom sequences with professional dancers, that would just really accentuate the Welcome to the Ballroom experience. Or Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju. Like, I think the main problem would be like translating it for an English audience. But seeing the Rakugo as a performance within the performance would be really cool. And I think the drama would also be well suited for a stage play. And in terms of like comedy, I think Spy X Family would do pretty well. So those are my choices. Oh, also about the Death Note musical thing, I think that will be coming to a London stage in August. That's what I heard. I'm not sure what the details are on that. I just read it on the Wikipedia page because I just wanted to make sure about the details of the Death Note musical. But yeah, if you're in London, then look it up. Maybe you can go see it. So those are my choices, which I'm honestly, all of these I would definitely go see.
Nice. Mitsugi, what are you thinking?
I just think there are a lot of things, but I think low technical dramas that require not a lot of special effects or acrobatics are probably best for a stage play. I don't know. It's an infinite number of things, but it has to be something popular. Otherwise, it's not going to draw a crowd. So I just lazily said Grave of the Fireflies. I think would be decent. Probably nobody would give a shit, but it is a low technical, and there's a lot of scenes in that are very impactful to Japanese culture. So it could be popular. And of course, who could possibly resist the heart-stopping action of School Days? I'd like to see a guy get his head sawed off on stage. I don't know. I'd pay a ticket for that.
Would the curtains that close to end the show have a boat on them?
Yes, they would. They would have a boat.
Good.
Final scene would be like a bouncing like ocean wave type background with a little ship, and then the girl would just be in her boat, caressing his head, going, "I love you," whatever his name was. "I love you, Taro," or whatever the fuck. I don't know what his name was. Minato, your head is so soft.
Makoto, is it? I don't know.
I didn't have a real answer for that, honestly. Like, all these stage plays, like I actually went to one of those. One I've actually been to a Japanese stage play. I can't remember what was it. I think it was Princess Mononoke, to be honest with you. But yeah, they're pretty cool. But it's a pretty small venue usually, and it's a pretty small stage. It's not like a Broadway stage where they have like tons of machinery in the floor and all that. It just isn't. So, it needs to be something kind of low key, something like Sweetness and Lightning or something like that.
Yeah, that's boring though.
Yeah, I don't know if Sweetness and Lightning. I don't know if people would come to the stage play. Like, I have never seen Sweetness and Lightning, but what I know about it, it's like, where's the driving conflict in that
Gotta
show?
razzle and dazzle me.
Yeah.
Razzle dazzle.
When I think of stage play, I think of like a full blown like Broadway affair. Like The Lion
Yeah, me
King.
too.
We got people coming out as massive giraffes and elephants, and like it's a whole spectacle. And so for that, with that thinking in mind, the shows I thought would be really cool would be Inuo. It's already like very performative. It's a musical in a sense. Revue Starlight would be super great because it's about people literally competing on stage for your like admiration. So that'd be great. And the Eccentric Family, I think, would like toe the line between heartfelt family, telling a deep story, but also just quirky enough with some of these scenes that they could do some really neat theater production on.
How would
And
they go about the whole Tanuki thing?
they just had little Tanuki suits. I don't know. It'd be fine.
Like, I'll just like zip up the Tanuki suit, get on the ground, and act really small.
Yeah, I think they would just slap on a tail, like just a magnetic tail that would fly in from off stage, and they would go Tanuki mode.
You
They'd
just
have
want to see a
scamper
furry
off.
show, don't you?
Oh my goodness, called out again. I'm thinking like the big moon scene, like the train that like flies. Like they could do some neat things while still being like earnest.
They can do Ben 10 and Peter Pan style.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be awesome. I hate Ben 10. She's awesome.
I
And
hate
I
her
just
too.
want to forget for news this week. I saw that Chainsaw Man, Final Fantasy 16, and Akiba Made War are all getting stage plays. So, if those shows can have it, damn it, why
Yeah.
can't I have my shows?
I am curious with the whole Chainsaw Man thing because at
So
first when I saw
stupid.
I saw that in your answer and I'm like, wait a minute, are you saying Chainsaw Man would make a good anime? Like, how would they go about the whole chainsaw head thing? Like, I understand like stage makeup and props and all that, but that seems like a really tough
The
thing to pull
only
off.
reason that I think the Chainsaw Man stage play would be worth seeing if it was like a gore show and it was literal like just streams of like red liquid like spraying out into the audience and it was
That
like
would
very
be
like
awesome.
interactive, like you have to wear like a poncho or something, then I'd be like, okay,
Be in
you got my
the splash
attention.
zone.
Exactly.
Like
If you're in the
at,
first 17
at
rows,
SeaWorld.
yeah, exactly. You're getting doused in artificial red juice. So
Sujinther suggests Initial D musical with cardboard cutouts and Eurobeat.
okay.
That's an idea.
Okay. I'd
I
just
would-
go for the music.
No, but like because is Initial D the one that's famous for the cars not looking very good?
I mean, it's
Or-
very early
In season
CG,
1.
and it's
Yeah.
very stiff looking.
I feel like having the cardboard cutouts in the musical would just be very appropriate.
It'd be charming, yeah. Anyway,
Anyway,
thank you for
that's
your
that's a
question,
really good
Andrew.
question.
And
That could
listener,
have been
if
a whole
this,
topic.
if this inspired you to ask questions, feel free to do so at aaapodcast.com.
Deckhand.
Let's head into our review for today, which is my love story with Yamada-kun at level 100. I tell you, I can't talk whatsoever. Level 999. I gave my impressions on it in episode 676, and it's from this year's spring season. You can watch it on Crunchyroll, and here's like the overall synopsis of the story. After her boyfriend breaks up with her for another girl, college student Akane wrestles with a broken heart and the memories he left behind. So she loads up this video game, an MMO that used to play together, and she forms a plan to get back at her ex-boyfriend through an in-person event for the game. And in the process, she runs into someone unexpected, a guy named Akito Yamada, who's a gaming legend who plays like first-person shooters, but just so happens to be her guildmate in this MMO. So desperate for support, Akane gets Yamada to be her fake boyfriend and also helping her to, get over her breakup and all that. But the thing is that Akane and Yamada are very different people. Akane is very bubbly and energetic. Yamada is very closed off and,
Gravel.
just outwardly kind of cold to people, but also like you learn he has a heart of gold. And they kind of spend a lot of time with each other. They spend time with their guildmates, and perhaps form, maybe eventually, a romance. Okay. So this is from Studio Madhouse. It's based on a manga. Now, expectations going into it, me personally, I had it on my impressions list. And I watched a few episodes of it, and it was not the best rom-com I ever saw. I mean, I thought the comedy was pretty, solid. I really enjoyed that part of it, especially since I got into like maybe like 5 episodes, and some characters I disliked initially, I ended up really liking. And I knew it was going to be one of the top shows of the season anyway, so I figured, you know what, it's decent enough. It could get better. Like, I could see some spots where it should get better. And so, therefore, I thought, it's worthy of a pass. And I figured, probably would win listener choice if it didn't get passed anyway. So that was generally my thoughts going into it. Mitsuki.
Yeah, for me, rom-com with a bit of a gaming slant. That's about it.
That's it?
Yeah. I expected to not like it, to be fair, to be honest with you.
I expected you to not like it either. Mason.
So I kind of vaguely remember when Caroline was giving the impression on the show is that she was just talking and giving a lot of recap about it because she watched like 5 or 6 episodes.
Yeah.
And that's usually the sign of someone with not a lot of confidence. They're like, there's something to the show, but like I need to watch more of it to see if it's doing anything with it. So I was like, pretty low expectations of just a rom-com show. I was going to think, after I realized and started it, that it has director Morio Asaka on it, the
Big
director
name.
from Chihayafuru, as well as Nana, some absolute goats in the like shoujo, josei like genre. So I was like, okay, like it's got some pedigree. Madhouse is a solid studio, so maybe it's gonna give me a bit more. So despite my initial reservations, I was going in with above average hopes for this show.
All right. Well, let's have our spoiler-free recommendations. Let's start with you, Mitsugi.
I was watching this with Pancake, and I was like, I wonder what studio did this. I looked it up, and I was like, oh, it's Madhouse. That's unusual, because Madhouse is, more of an 80s, 90s, 2000s studio. And I was like, we weren't really enjoying it very much, so I said, I wonder if this is like Madhouse's like B team or whatever. And I looked up the director, and I said, fuck me, it's Morio Asaka. And I looked up he had done so much stuff. I was like, Jesus, this guy is like a fucking goat, honestly. Yeah, I mean, I would not recommend this anime, honestly. I'm really going to try to keep the 10-minute positive comment embargo in place, but that's impossible right now.
I thought you were just about to be quiet for 9 minutes and 57 seconds. You're like, okay, I can't say anything.
That will be interesting.
So I'm not going to say anything at all.
I will say the color palette was really nice in this anime. I enjoyed the bright colors. I'm a bright color kind of guy. I enjoyed the color palette. I do think the color palette is tailored to younger people. And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. I think that the romance was nice when it actually happened. I find it incredibly heartwarming. Normally, I'm a sucker for romance, but I rarely get a real romance in anime, unfortunately. But when romantic stuff happens, I do enjoy it, and so that's nice. And the characters in this anime were of age, and so I thought that there were some possibilities that were opened up by that. Rather than having like fucking 10-year-olds, jonesing over each other, it was like, 20-year-olds, and that's fine. So, I prefer that, as I am fucking old. I'm 37. I do think this anime is not particularly good, though. I think the anime's biggest crime is its narrative. I think the anime is hideously boring and extremely droll. The story is rote and predictable. The pacing is horrific, to be honest with you. Caroline would not agree with this, but I'm going to just fucking say it anyway. I'm just making a prediction. I was sitting in bed the other night, and I'm sitting there with Pancake, and I said to myself, these two fucking people, Akane and Yamada, they spend all their goddamn time together all the time, every fucking episode, they're always together. And I said to myself, men and women cannot be friends in this way. If you're going to be together every fucking day, all the fucking time, somebody is going to have feelings for the other person most of the time. So to be perfectly honest with you, and I apply this to all of these types of animes, I wish they would just skip the situationship bullshit. Like if you ever watch like a dating podcast, they always say, What is your relationship status? Are you single, dating, married? Are you in a situationship? A situationship is when two people like each other, but they're fucking playing games and they're not getting around to it and they're just wasting everybody's time and it's awkward because no one knows where they stand with the other person. That's what this anime is. It's a fucking situationship. And it is just torture to watch it, honestly. Like, just skip to the fucking dating and skip the situationship. There's plenty of drama to be had once you're dating. You could cheat on somebody. You could have parents get involved where they don't like the other person. Someone could move abroad. Like, it's infinite. You could have a million things that happen, but instead I have to watch 11 episodes of the anime to get to the goddamn handhold because we're going to spend 11 episodes on the most boring, trite, unimpactful nonsense that anybody has ever encountered. And that's what a situationship is. This anime is situationship the anime. And unfortunately, that is not very entertaining. And the common consensus of a situationship in real life is that they aren't good. Rarely ever does someone say, oh, I'm in a situationship, and they're like applauding it. No, it is a bad thing. It means both people are a bunch of fucking pussies, and you need to man up and express your feelings and communicate like an adult. But unfortunately, that just never happens in these anime. And that's how you end up with two characters that are sort of dating, but they're not dating because nobody wants to communicate. And I'm just going to skip all the rest of my notes because it would be too long. And the reason why I said Caroline probably wouldn't agree was because I said that men and women can't be friends.
No, I mean, I don't
believe
think,
that.
like, as you say, not all the time. Like, of course, there are exceptions, but yes, if you are a man and a woman and you're fairly close and you're not in relationships currently and you really enjoy friendships with each other, of course, you're going to feel, feelings at some point.
Yeah, of course. It's
not
natural,
all the
right?
time, but a lot of the time. Yes.
It's natural,
Whatever.
right? So
Yeah, I mean, because you naturally want to be in a relationship with someone you feel is a good friend, like that you enjoy being with.
I just wish that the anime would take a little more consideration of the viewer and would skip all the fucking horse shit. This is not a romance anime. I mean, it just is not, honestly. So this is going a little long. We'll get into spoilers.
In this case, and I totally understand what you're saying, because yes, the whole show where it's like called a rom-com, but all they do is just leads up to the bare minimum of a romance by the end of the show. It's stupid.
Right. It is.
In this case, you can't really do that because Akane just broke up with her boyfriend. Yeah, she doesn't really have much of an excuse, but you could say she's just trying to get over a relationship. And Yamada's the problem here because his whole personality is the fact that he doesn't express romantic feelings to anyone, really. So
he's gravel,
in his case, we'll get more into Yamada as we go. But here's what I wrote in.
Yeah, go ahead. Your turn.
In terms of a recommendation, it's tough. I can't exactly recommend it, unfortunately, because the thing is, it had moments that I enjoyed. The main thing that I think is positive is that I really liked the comedy. I thought it was really funny, and it mostly accentuated by how it's edited and the the little visual comedic moments I thought were great. And I really loved Runa. She was like my least favorite character when she was introduced, but she became my absolute favorite. She's freaking hilarious. The side characters overall I thought were good, especially since the main characters were not that great. There were a couple of cute interactions between Akane and Yamada, which I liked, but to be honest, I did not see a ton of chemistry between them, mostly because, as Mitsuki said, Yamada is gravel. Yamada just doesn't have enough character to be interesting and to want me to see more of him in a relationship because he just doesn't do much.
But they all love him anyway. Everyone's like, oh my god, Yamada, he's so great.
Handsome.
No, he's not great. He's a
really
fucking,
not that. I really don't know what they're looking at because he's like okay looking, but I don't really see like, oh my god, he's the hottest guy I've ever seen. He's the bland black-haired protagonist. He's
realist hero reincarnated.
Yeah. So the romantic parts to me did not feel any more than like still images of Yamada and Akane just looking pretty with like lights and sparkles shining on them. And it happened all the time. And I'm like looking at it and I'm like, this feels like forced. Like we're supposed to feel like, oh my God, romantic moment, when really it was just a still image of them with little sparkles. And that's it. It just didn't really feel like there was meaning behind it. So, I mean, I didn't dislike the show. There were parts that I liked. I didn't really like, oh God, this show. I have to get back to this show. That wasn't my feelings towards it. Like, I liked it. But I feel like there are better rom-coms, like a lot better rom-coms with a lot more rom out there that I think people would be better to watch than this one. But if you really like your rom-coms, if you've seen them all, you just want another one to watch, I feel like this one isn't a bad one to watch. It's just not, it could have been better. That's what I'm saying. Mason.
I almost entirely agree with Caroline. If you like rom-coms, you don't care about what Mitsuki has to say. You don't care about what Caroline or myself have to say. You're going to try this one, and it's another one, and you'll probably be fine with it. For everyone else, this is a pretty weak addition to the pile of forgettable works in the genre, and I would not recommend the show. The plot, the dialogue, the visuals, the directing all failed to deliver an adequate viewing experience, which was sorely needed as the characters themselves that made up the romantic pairing just had a severe lack of chemistry or anything really that I found compelling. I'm not saying I was rooting against anyone in the show, but it really provided nothing but irritation at a technical and an artistic level for me that made me just infuriated most of the time. And we're going to get into a lot of details, but it failed kind of on multiple accounts for me, and I did not enjoy my time with it. If you did, fantastic. I'm glad you did, but no. Please do not watch the show. Please. I beg of you. There's so many
He's
better
begging
shows.
you.
Oh my gosh. I think this is the most outward dislike you've had for a show in a long time.
Yeah, and I think it's for a plethora of reasons that we will get into with spoilers.
Spoilers are coming. Oh my god.
Okay, Mason, I'm interested because you're rarely ever this, as I mentioned, negative about a show. Usually, so like, tell me, what about it were you not crazy about?
Like, I think it comes from two facets. On one hand, there's the whole like character side of things, which we will get into. How we, the audience, perceive the characters as being interesting, engaging, liking their story, liking their chemistry. We'll get into that, but there's a whole kind of second side of the choices that the people making this show decided upon, and that can be visuals, that can be soundtrack, that can be cuts and edits, and kind of like how do you take a manga and craft it and put it out as a product. And there was just a lot of moments in this show that a director as skilled as we've seen in Asaka, I was just always thrown off by, from the very beginning where we get this confession of a breakup to Akane, and she is going through it, and it's not a sad overblown scene, but it has an emotional beat of oh, this is the end of a relationship, and that's your starting off point, and it goes blah 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 blah, blah anime op do it's just a tonal misplace, and those popped up all over the place. There's moments of just obviously plot contrivances that we'll get into later, but just things of there's clocks on the wall all the time. They're always showing clocks, and they rarely add anything, and they just take up space and time. There's shots of, I think it was episode 6 or 7, where they're doing this epic zoom in from the outside through the window to show Akane's friend waxing poetically about not finding someone. And there's a weird jump in the middle of it, and it makes no sense. It's just a lot of little things on a production level that were just abysmal and irritating to me. And I don't want to get into all of them because that's not what the show's about. The show succeeds in some ways despite all of this, but it just felt very unconsidered and poorly crafted in a way that is rare with something that on paper seems pretty good. So we'll get into it as we go on. I don't want to just nitpick all the way. So what do you want to talk about first, plot or characters?
Let's talk about characters, because I feel like that's where the main problem comes in. If this was a plot with generally more likable, I feel like we would not have, I mean, not that I fully disliked it, but we would have maybe liked it a little bit more.
Here's the question for both of you. was there any meaningful interaction between Akane and Akito? Even if you include all the times where she's just drunk or desperate from her breakup or feverish, like was there any actual conversations they had that you're like, okay, yeah, I can A, see them as a couple, B, like endeared them to one another, or
I
it just
think-
didn't feel aimless.
For me, that came with their conversation at the convenience store, like at the very end, when, Akane was going to confess to Yamada, but she, decided against it for some reason, which I don't really understand why.
Yeah.
But Yamada was thinking over the confession of his, of his classmate, of his friend.
Mm-hmm.
So, but she doesn't know this at the time. But, they're kind of having a conversation. Akane doesn't really know what his situation is. But it felt like, okay, this is a nice conversation. It feels like they're actually, talking to each other. They like that they might even like each other at a minimum amount, because a lot of the time it felt like Yamada was seeing Akane as an annoyance, and Akane got frustrated with Yamada a lot of the time throughout the show. But this was like the one conversation where it's like, okay, so they're actual friends now, which is nice. And like the little doodle on his hand, like that's cute. So at that point, I'm like, okay,
moment at the very end, and I get,
I
you go from
know.
not friends to nothing, but there was nothing. This was a desert of romance for the entire time, and
I have to
guess-
say, like Yamada helping Akane while she was sick, I'm like, okay. I mean, I hate the sick episodes because they're kind of cliche, and this one isn't like not cliche. It was fairly cliche, but still, it worked. It was pretty good, and geez Louise, like this is the one time that I feel like an anime character has gotten sick and like really poorly sick, and they've actually gone to a hospital like they should have.
Yeah, and even then, it was all we got of her in the hospital was, okay, I'm putting you under now, and then she wakes up back at home. Like it was,
no
it didn't
way.
need to drag
This
on.
person is unconscious. There's no way they're getting back. Like they would keep you at the hospital. You're not going back to your house if you are fully unconscious.
Yeah, it was a little fine. Like it wasn't the worst thing. It was just a lot of the plot points of the whole story just felt a little strange. Of like they meet up at this, anniversary for the game they're playing, and everyone who goes to this thing gets a code for this rare item, and so at the end, Akane like thanks Akito, like, oh, thanks for pretending to be my boyfriend. Here's a code for this rare item, and he like is like, oh my goodness, a rare code. Like, wasn't he at the event? Didn't he get one? Like
He was there.
So did he already get a code for a rare item?
Probably.
So like, did that ruin the show? No. Like it just was just a bunch of things that. Oh, we need a cultural festival in here. Let's shoehorn these like repeated plot points of Akane and Kito running around. Oh, are they a couple? No. And then they run around together later. Oh, are they a couple? Like it was just very
excessive.
on the nose, and dialogue was very weak. There was a lot of times where you would enter a scene where they were talking about a conversation that happened when it didn't. For example, at the end when Akane is telling her friend and Eita Rabbit Boy that she wants to confess for Akito. Like Eita originally assumes that Akane is going to say, "Oh, I like you," and it's not that. She doesn't say that. So the conversation begins as a viewer. We see him say, "Oh, I thought you were going to tell me about this," implying that they had a discussion about what they were going to talk about. And then he says, "So what do you want to talk about?" So why did he say at the beginning of the conversation, "Oh, I thought you were going to talk about this"? It'd be like if we started a conversation and you say, "Ah, that was a hilarious story, Caroline. So what was the story?" It was like,
Oh yeah.
everything was just a little muddy, and I didn't like how every character was just. A lot of times we get in anime misunderstandings by people not properly communicating, where you hide a secret and someone assumes something, and you get this whole hijinks and laughs. That's pretty common. But here we got times where a character would be outright telling the person the truth. I am not the rabbit character. I am not that avatar. And the other person would just talk over them and just ignore it. And that was like a new kind of frustration for me, where it is like, I'm not, or Runa would be like, I'm not the robot, I'm not the rabbit. I don't play as that character. I don't play. And she's like, oh yes, yes, you are. You're the rabbit. You're the rabbit. And it was just, okay, why? Why are we just playing the song and dance? Why are we doing these whole contrivances of Runa setting her up with an internet creep? Why are we having a kind of
That
strong arm a high schooler
as
to a bar? Like, it was a lot of stuff like that.
yeah, there were a lot of
Just
moments
felt
that were just
forced.
like yeah, so those were like my main gripes with the show was like those kind of moments that did not feel like they made it as they did not make this a big deal. The fact that Runa set Akane up with a total stranger that's like stalker level.
Mhm.
Like, and he followed her into the fucking bathroom. Like, that is crazy. That is so bad. And they just like laughed it off, basically. Well,
Well,
like,
my mom
I'm
told to give her, like, I get it. They made an effort at least, but it doesn't feel great.
like I'm glad that Ada actually took it seriously and like he was the only character that did. Akane, like I would have been like, fuck this kid. I'm never seeing her ever again. Even though I do like Runa after that. Runa really made an impression on me after that, but I could not get over that whole situation. And she had the nerve to cry after that. Unbelievable. And then the whole like dragging Yamada to the bar to get drunk and have this 18-year-old escort you back to your house. Or no, he brought her home. I forgot. Like, that is so embarrassing. Like, that is just so, like, that is not how a woman should ever act at her age.
I mean, I get that Akane is flawed, and there is. I don't mind if my main character isn't a paragon of, perfection. I get that. Like, you can have those character moments, and that's how you grow, and that's where their dichotomy, is one who's very
Overall-
stoic, but like, and it's not even like the age gap that's an issue. Like, a couple years, fine, I get it. She's in college, he's in high school. It's not the best, but it's not, unsurmountable. But it's the whole optics of, oh, come to the bar, come drink with me. I'm plastered. I'm like, it just.
Okay, so yeah,
It's not the foundation that you want a relationship to be built on.
I really do want to talk about that age gap thing because it's kind of one of the main points of the show that some people disagree on. Like, of course, it's only a couple years. So really, it's not that big a deal. But I think the main thing that got, like, because initially I thought that Yamada was also going to be, like, in college, which I was excited for at the beginning of the show. Like, oh, yeah, these are, like, actual adults. But no, he's still in high school. So, and again, a couple of years is not that big a deal. But in, like, the situation where they are just meeting, she's in college, he's in high school, she can drink, he cannot, she's getting plastered, he's trying to walk her home. It just felt like they were in very different points in life. Like, she is obviously, while she makes stupid decisions and she acts immature, she's in some ways living a more mature life than he is. And that just felt a little weird to me. Like, that was one of the things that kind of kept them not, like, they didn't really have, like, a ton of chemistry that I kind of picked up on. But that was another thing that I'm like, oh, I'm not really sure about it. It just felt off to me a lot of the time.
Yeah, and it wasn't even they were, like, so like opposed that they were like, oh, yin and yang, like how these people from different worlds. It just felt that they were close, just off in the skew. And I get that you want to paint Akito, obviously he's awkward, and you want to paint him as a person. We learned that he's so scared of saying the wrong thing that he doesn't want to talk much. He's very reserved, not partially because he's shy, but also because he's like, oh, I said wrong stuff in the past, and he's so scared. He's so petrified of hurting the feelings of someone else is why he's so quiet, right? That's kind of what it marched to at the end.
Yeah.
So we go through that, and Akane really just sticks to him like glue, really says, I really like you, I really like you, and he comes out of his shell, and they hold hands, great, romance. That's the last scene of the anime. Except it's not. They do the scene, and then it flashes back to Akito, and this is how the anime ends. This is the words verbatim that they choose to end a rom-com with. So he's flashed back to seeing Akane on the ground, crumpled up after she runs into him in episode 1 or something. And he says, in his mind, if you are going to crumple up on the ground, then you should wear normal shoes at work. I just don't get them. Women. And then he says, are you all right? And that's how the anime ends.
Oh, God.
And
yeah,
if you're trying to say, look how far he's come, he's holding hands with women now. He's not like, sure, maybe, but why place it there? Why end the show with that,
Yeah, why make us feel like, oh, maybe this guy isn't really as
is he
cool as
still
we
just
thought?
internally thinking that? Is he still like, "Ugh, fine, I guess her hand is
Eye
soft,
roll.
but like, I don't know. Like, what is the point of him being this way besides just to appeal to, oh, viewer, if you just don't say much and look really cool and play video games, you'll have all the women fawning. Like,
Jesus Christ.
I just didn't jive with the way the show presented these things in the order they did.
Can I just ask a question, honestly?
Of course.
Because, if I'm being frank, this anime kind of sucks, honestly. Why do people like this? This anime is written as if the person writing it has never been in a relationship in their entire life and have no fucking concept as to what real humans behave like. So, to be perfectly blunt, I just don't understand how this anime has like almost an 8.0 online, because do people like just like watching two people just fucking fiddle around with bullshit for fucking 3 hours? Because that's what this anime is. They just do nothing for 3 fucking hours. It's so boring that like it's almost unwatchable. Honestly, like I must be just like way past the age group for this audience, because I'm pretty sure this is written for like 14-year-old girls. But in fact,
it is.
I would be extremely hard pressed to be convinced that it isn't. But like, this is not how real people behave, and this is not how real relationships happen. And all this video game nonsense, like, I'm sorry, but there's nothing positive about being a video game like an MMO professional or whatever that makes you like a desirable partner. So I just don't understand like why this anime is appealing. I don't know why I had to argue with people on the Discord about why it was good or bad. Like, it's obvious that like I just don't get it. I really don't get it. Why is this anime appealing? Please, someone explain it.
Number one, it is written for young girls. It is a shoujo. 2, I think most people want to watch an anime to see how people get together, because they are not in a relationship, and they want to say, oh, how do I get into a relationship? How do I get the GF?
Well, you're looking at the wrong fucking thing.
Well, sure, I'm not arguing that, but this is, people want to see, how do you start one, not how do I get and like stay in one after that. That's not the appeal for a lot of folks like this. And I think we're coming at the show hard because it failed, in my mind, miserably as the romance part of it. It delivered almost nothing of what I'm looking for. But I think as a comedy side, it did hit some nice moments. I'll get into those with later. But I do also like how they use the gaming. Like, I would have been more upset if they were actually in the gaming world all the time, going on quests and stuff. Like, I like how it was really just a vessel for them to meet and talk about stuff, but it really brought them together outside the game world. And I did like that. I did like episode 2. It was a bit of a heavy-handed metaphor, but the whole cleaning out her room in her mom's house and the theme of like throw away the trash, get rid of the stuff that you're no longer attached to. Like, that was a nice scene. That was a nice moment. So it wasn't like a colossal failure. I just think it fundamentally did not deliver the product mix that you wanted, that I wanted, and what we come to shows like this for, which is why we're so baffled on how people liked it. But there was stuff there for sure.
I have a very
it's not the perfect, it's not a rom-com of amazing proportions, but it's just one of the rom-coms that came out in the season. People who are seasonal watchers want something new to watch. If they really like rom-coms, then this was the one that that came out that people were talking about, so they're like, oh, I'm gonna watch this one. And, you know, it looked decent. I honestly think the comedy was good. Yeah, it's ridiculous that there was like the little romance that happened. No, I did not like Yamada. Akane was not the greatest. And it's just, it wasn't amazing, but people who are seasonal watchers will attach themselves to something that's not amazing, that's just new, you know?
I just have to question this whole genre, honestly, because I do have a conservative take on what relationships are compared to most people, honestly, that listen to this. People are going to most people will not agree with me to listen, and that's fine. To me, particularly women should look for a provider in their partners, and you probably shouldn't be looking to a video game addict to be your provider, to be the mother, to be the father of your children. to be the person that can provide for your household. You're not looking for like these immature, like gamer addicts. Like it's not the right place to be looking. First of all, I know that's probably like way off base for like a video for. No one cares. It's like, oh, I'm applying way too much reality to these anime, honestly. But like beyond that, it's like when I pulled this anime up, I looked at the episode titles and I saw that episode 12 was called "I Like You." First of all, they don't even do the confession in episode 12. In episode 12,
well, there's a confession with the president.
Well, whatever. And honestly, in real life, confessions don't even happen. You're more likely to just kiss a person, and you don't have to say the words. It's unspoken. And so, like, a confession doesn't even need to happen. This whole, like, concept of, like, oh, I have to say I like you or something. Sorry, it's not reality, okay? That isn't how real life happens, okay, most of the time. But, like, why is it that this genre continues to function when you know you're going to watch 12 episodes of literally absolutely nothing happening, and then you're going to get a fucking handhold at the end of the show? It's just like, I understand that people maybe like the slice of life, but you already know you're going to get 3 hours of absolutely nothing and then basically no payoff at the end. So I just don't understand why this genre even exists. I don't understand.
You can say that for any genre, though. Like, there are some not so great isekais, and
but some genres
like, that just captivates the anime world. Like, there's so many of them that don't do anything interesting.
Some genres are like action packed. They're sports. They're mystery. They keep you hooked with the action beats. They keep you hooked with like not knowing who the killer is. They do this and that.
But there are so many bad ones. So many bad ones of all genres.
That could be true, but like there must be people out there that just watch these anime because they enjoy watching absolutely fucking nothing happen for 12 straight episodes. But that is not, to me, that is not entertainment. And so when I watch an anime like this, which, by the way, has horrific character modeling. I mean, there were some shots I posted on the Discord where Yamada looks 43 fucking feet tall, and he's built like a goddamn coat hanger. So I don't know what the fuck. But, like, honestly, like, I just don't understand why people watch an anime like this and think it's good. I just can't get it. It's not realistic. It's not entertaining. I didn't think it was funny. And honestly, the gaming character, by the way, the character models in the game are just, nobody would play this video game. I mean,
they're just like Maple Story.
They're horrific. They look horrific.
Maple Story's fine.
Well, I mean, maybe the game is fun, but like the character models are just terrible in this. I mean, the main character looked like an elf with a fro. I mean, I just don't understand. I don't know who would play this game. But like, this is not how relationships function. So if you're looking for like a realistic take on like relationships, this is not it. And I think
most people go into this knowing that.
Well, do they go into it knowing that they're going to watch 10 episodes of just droll nonsense only to have a handhold happen? Because that is not entertaining.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it's not entertaining for you, but some other people find things that they like about it. It's not that big a deal.
It might be because
I know you didn't like it, but it's fine.
It could be because
everyone has their own taste.
I guess so, but I think it's because I've been continuously in relationships. I've been married twice in the last 10 years or so, and I am borderline an expert on relationships. And when I watch anime like this, I'm just like, what the fuck am I even looking at? Like, this is not how real people behave or act. And I wonder if, like,
to say that nobody confesses though seems off.
It is
to say like, oh, he doesn't have a full-time job. He's in high school playing games to get some income. Like,
and she's only 20 years old. Like, even at 20, most people are not. Okay. Yes, you're looking for a relationship, but nobody's going into relationships at 20 years old believing this is the person they are going to marry.
I guess we're just never going to like get a real relationship in an anime ever again, because there's no anime where people are like older than 20. She's basically an old maid at this point by anime standards. So like, you're never going to get a person older than that in a series. So if I have to accept that people that are 20 just don't know how to be in relationships, then we should just abandon the whole romance genre, because you're never going to get a real one. There's no anime made about 30-year-olds.
There's MMO Junkie.
If I have
which is the better is like, this is definitely if you have not watched MMO Junkie and you were disappointed by this show, you should just go watch MMO Junkie.
If I have to accept that 20-year-olds and 18-year-olds can't have realistic romances, then let's just throw the whole genre in the toilet, because there are no romance anime that are made about 20-year-olds or older. This Akane is about as old as you get. So why are we wasting our time?
I literally just said MMO Junkie, which features a 30-year-old protagonist.
Well, maybe it's an outlier, but you know, most of these anime.
There are anime, but most
how
that
old are
came
the
out
folks in
are.
Wotakoi? They're at least in their 20s.
Anyway, we're not really getting anywhere with this.
genre.
No,
just
we are
because-
going somewhere. It's an indictment of the whole genre. Like, I just don't understand why the romance. Why take this anime? Oh, you look at my anime list. The only genre is romance. That's it. So why are we taking a romance anime and putting people in it that are not prepared to have romance? It just doesn't make any sense. It's like having a car about auto racing and the car has no engine in it.
Because even if you're a shut-in loser gaming person who has no social skills, you too can be saved if you find a cutie.
But the anime is not
college-
even about gaming. It wasn't even a major focal point of the show.
It's about him breaking out of his shell based on the insistence and endearment of his friends and his guildmates and Akane.
Well, I would prefer to watch romance anime with people that are prepared to have actual relationships, and not
And
people
that's
that.
fair.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand why the main character of the show is someone who can't even have a real conversation with another human because he speaks in one-word sentences the entire series.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I don't
It's
know,
not
to be
great when
honest.
someone bumps into you and apologizes and says, "I'm going through a hard time," and you just say, "I'm not interested," and walk away. Like, I get that.
No,
you
that's
know?
pretty funny though.
And that's part of the characters we're having. And that's why even if you don't get a solid romance, if you have good characters, that can make up for it, which is why some romances are solid and I will watch them and they'll good. It seems like this is fundamentally not your genre, Mitch.
Well,
and that is okay,
actually-
especially with how it is nowadays.
Actually, that's not true. I give Tomo a 4 because at the end
Why?
of Tomo,
I don't know how.
well, at
'Cause
the
they
end,
kissed?
because at the end of Tomo, they were actually honest with each other and had like a real romantic moment. This anime and Tomo had much better characters that I could actually have a conversation, had much better execution. But actually, romance is quite in my wheelhouse. But this anime is not a romance. I don't know what this is, but it's
No,
not romance.
and that's what we're saying. It failed as the romance side.
Yeah, it did.
The
It
grand
absolutely-
majority of anime rom-coms are just means it's a comedy with characters that we are going to ship, like outside the show, that we want them to get together. They may not get together in a satisfying manner by the end, but that's what the anime rom-com genre is nowadays. That's just it. So I have come to terms with that. But
I have some-
Watch the show. Sorry, go ahead, Mitch.
It's
'Cause
okay.
You're more ready.
I don't have much else to say. I just think that what I think the anime romance genre has become is something that is so blunt and difficult to hear that I'm not going to explain it because I don't think anybody wants to hear it. So I'm just not going to go into it. But it is what it is.
We got 2 more of them this season. Buckle up, listen.
I'm buckling up. I've been warned by the Discord for quite a while now, but
Okay.
Yeah, can please
Good things about this show. I really enjoyed Akane's reaction faces. They were a strong point. They were adorable. They were fun. Whether she looked like a cat, whether she looked like Homestar Runner, she had a good wardrobe. I liked all her different
yeah,
outfits.
she's fashionable.
I love. Probably the only scene I actually thought was funny was when Akito is fixing her computer and she realizes that her bras are still like hanging up to dry.
Yeah.
And there's like a blistering fast like meow, and she like races over, grabs them, and like runs. Like that was solid. And I like the little flowers that emit from the more cheerful folk. Like even when they're off screen, you can see their little like explosions. Like I like the various eye catches between part A and part B. I love the scene, the flashback when Akito, like the president, like goes to Akito's house to be like, "Oh, are you such an elite gamer? Show me your like crazy gaming skills." And he just like aggressively wiggles the mouse. Like that was funny unintentionally. I mean, visually the show had a bunch of flaws. Like the train shaking physics, the curtain opening, the phone position. There's like a bunch of furniture that blinked in and out of existence. Some needless CG. Her dress is completely clean until she looks in the mirror and she's like, "Oh my goodness, my dress is dirty." And then they draw it dirty. Like there's a bunch of moments where they just decide to draw a character with only one eyeball or most of the face. Like it was odd sometimes.
One thing that they did accurately depict was the trauma that comes from having a Charlie horse. Like
Yeah.
that I've never seen a Charlie horse happen in an anime. But it's like one of those things where it's like you feel like you can't straighten it and you're like, no, if I straighten it, it's gonna hurt even more. But then you straighten it, it's like, oh, it's gone now.
Yeah, it had a couple nice moments for sure. I guess I agree. I didn't find it that hilarious. I don't know, Caroline, if there was any scenes that like stuck out to you as like
I mean, nothing that I can like remember off the top of my head, but just like several moments where I'm like, okay, that's like as you mentioned, like the whole bra thing, like that was funny, and yeah, just like the facial expressions, the little chibi moments. I'm a sucker for chibi, you
You
know?
had the scene where Runa was like, "Oh, I gotta push them together. Let
That
me.
I
Oh, how do we do?
freaking
Let's put the
loved.
toast in
Like,
her mouth. Let's
yeah,
push them
that
together."
killed me.
Like it was fine. I wanted to like the whole Rory-chan rabbit twist more because she passes Runa in the street and she's like, "Oh, that person could be her," and you're like, "No way, is it her? Like, what are the chances of just meeting someone?" And then she's like, "Oh, it might be an old man," and she's like, "No way, it can't be an old man." And then we see the like strawberry dude in the group, and you're like, "Oh, maybe it is the old man." And they do try to like, who's it gonna be? But it is exactly who you think it would be, and it is kind of Runa in a way, so she wasn't that far off. So I don't know. I liked some of the ideas. I just think they were executed poorly on a creative level and a technical level, and it was just not a good show in my mind.
Yeah.
But
Um, just one more thing that I liked. I did like the side characters. I think I mentioned before. Just like their guild group, I enjoyed more than the main characters a lot of the time. Like the old man, I think is like a fun addition because he's so cute, you know? He's like a little grandpa of the group. And then Ada, I liked. He had his moments of being a little annoying and weird, but I think he's like a really fun best friend character. And, you know, I like Runa and just like their overall, like, oh yeah, the president, oh my God, she's so like monotone. I even said in Discord, like, if the president and Yamada get together, they would be the most monotone couple I have ever heard. They would be the most boring couple ever. But for some reason, the only time I liked the president character was in the game. Because then she actually felt like she had some semblance of a personality only in those game sequences.
so Akane actually doesn't interact with Akito very much in the game. Like most of her interaction is with her guild, which was better than her interaction with him. And I honestly think the two best characters are Momoko, her friend, who's like viciously like
serial
going
dating.
out there serial dating, and the president like restraining her feelings. Like those were probably the two best written characters of the bunch. And Akane just had more screen time, so she had more depth, but she didn't do much with it in a way that I found compelling. Like she didn't really have a story or a lesson to be taught from her. So flashes of decency, but for the most part, it was just frustration. So I don't have much more to say.
Yeah, I think I've basically given my thoughts overall as well. So, who wants to start with the scoring?
I'll get it out of the way. Honestly, look, I'm old. I'm like 25 years past the age group for this anime. And I think that people that wrote this expect that people that are watching it have no fucking clue what a real relationship looks like, because a 14-year-old probably wouldn't understand, and that's fair. I don't expect them to. They're not required to. I hope that they don't know, because 14-year-olds aren't prepared for relationships, really. But I am, because I'm 37, and it's not meant for me. I didn't find this anime funny. I didn't find this anime realistic. I didn't find the characters likable, and I found it to be a waste of time. And the fact that it's not even dubbed made this even harder, because that means I couldn't even watch it at work. I couldn't watch it, at the gym, really. It was pretty tough to get through it. And I'm just tired of these romance anime where no romance happens. It's just a fucking waste of time. And I'm just an old man that has seen too much of the world.
I'm tired, Pa.
I've seen too much of the world, I guess.
Of this, Grandpa. What's too damn bad?
I completely agree. Get me a walker. Get me my dentures. Get me my, get me my insure. All the stereotypes. I accept them all. But to me, I just wanted to make cynical comments about this anime, because to me, this was like a visualization of why Japan's birth rate is like 0.6 per person, which is like really bad. And why they're probably, it's just because, I don't know, if this is how relationships in Japan really are, then that makes perfect sense why they have a population that drops by 2 million people a year, because, no, Jesus Christ, if this is how real relationships begin in Japan, then Japan is doomed. Honestly, there's just no way anyone's ever gonna get laid or have kids or whatever you want to say.
And
Like,
it's all because of this anime. It's all because of Yamada at level 909, which is a completely stupid
yeah,
title.
comment in the Twitch. Why do we need what? I guess why do we need high birth rates? Well, you need high birth rates because without it, the human race
Japan
will
is gonna die.
the human
without
race
some
will not
bird.
exist. It doesn't take very many years. If every country in the world had a birth rate like Japan, you'd be talking about the extinction of the human race within like 100 years, and that's that's not that far off, honestly. And this anime is a romance, but it's just not how relationships are, and nothing really happens in it. And I still can't understand why people like it so much. I just don't get it. It's pretty tough to watch, and I'm gonna give it 1.5. I don't know. You can't even level up to 999 in any. Look, I am an MMO veteran, and I can tell you right now, there's probably not an MMO I've ever heard of where you can even get to level 999. So I don't even understand where that comes from. But I'm giving it a 1.5 because I need anime to realize that some of their viewers are not little kids anymore, and they need to make romance anime for people that actually know what a real romance looks like. But for some reason, they seem to just forget that those people exist, because for every anime I see where a real romance happens, I see at least 15 or 20 where they just fucking piddle fuck around with like whatever, and it's just a little tiring, honestly. Like for once, I was telling Pancake, I'd love an anime for once where the people meet, they like each other, and they just make out aggressively for like an hour. And we have like a whole episode of just making out, because that
Who
is
would watch that though? That's not entertaining.
Well, Caroline, I understand that, but like I'm going to tell you right now that it's a lot more realistic that people that meet and like each other will go to a karaoke place and they'll just make out for an hour. That is way more realistic than just this fucking situationship nonsense that just goes on and on for like 10 episodes. People will make out. They do it. It happens every day.
Yeah, but not for an entire episode.
Well, I've never seen it
not
happen.
for 20 minutes.
Fine,
for an anime.
Let it happen for 5 minutes.
No, they'll do it in real life, yeah, but nobody's going to come to an anime to watch 20 minutes of people making out.
Make it
There's
happen.
porn, but not anime.
How about 2 minutes? Because I've never seen it happen in anime ever.
Sure, because
which
once people start watching 2 minutes of this, they're like, "Why am I watching this?" Like,
I'm just
what
saying.
is happening?
I'm just saying, Caroline.
That's not as it. I know you don't find this show entertaining, but 2 minutes, me watching 2 minutes of people making out is not entertaining either.
Well, this anime wasn't entertaining either. And
that's literally what I just said.
But like, but the fact that I have never seen people make out in an anime ever is an indictment of the fact that romance anime are not realistic whatsoever to anything that resembles a real romance. Because people making out that are in a relationship is about as common as you drinking water in the morning. So the fact that I've never seen it ever, I just wonder what it would look like for once, where people like make out, they fuck, they have kids, and a real relationship exists. But for some reason, we're just unable to even like approach that in the medium, and I don't understand why. But someday I hope we'll get there. But until then, I'm just gonna be the old man wanting to see two adults, which is what we had in this anime, act like adults, but instead they act like they're 12. So I'm giving it a 1.5.
Okay. Mason, do you want to go next?
I sure can. Yeah, I feel like there's enough people in the world that everyone experiences romance differently. So to say, oh, this isn't realistic, this isn't how people do things, is maybe undercutting it a bit. That said, the show did fail as a romance. It failed as a comedy, and it mostly failed as entertainment for me. It kind of slapped text all over the screen so you could understand the gamer lingo it kept on throwing out at you. Had two characters hold hands, gave them, and every scene, a ton of bubbles and sparkles and shimmers, and called it a day. It was not engaging for me on a variety of levels, and it was quite disappointing. So I am sad to say that I'm going to give this show also a 1.5 Forest of Save Me from this show out of 5.
Okay. You see, for me, I liked the comedy. That's one thing that I guess I kind of liked more than anyone else here. It wasn't like a pain to get through. So that's the main thing that I'm judging this on, is the fact that I watched this show and I'm like, yeah, okay. It wasn't like it pained me to watch it. So That's like the minimum I can ask for. There were moments that I liked between Yamada and Akane. There were characters that I enjoyed. Yes, there was very little romance and it was not realistic, but I don't come to anime for realism. That's not the top of the list for me. And overall, I thought it was a fine show. Not my favorite. I don't know if I would really go out of my way to recommend it. There were a lot of other rom-coms that I would recommend for this, namely Horimiya and MMO Junkie, especially for fans of like this kind of show. But overall, I would give the show a 3. 3 sparkles and shimmers around pretty boy and girl out of 5.
Thank God for Caroline, honestly.
What can I say?
You know what's really hard
these
about
kind of shows are not bad to me.
You know what's hard about reviewing anime is that like there are a lot of reviewers on like YouTube or TikTok or whatever. They just give like a good score to everything. They like everything. They fake it. They pretend. Not everybody likes everything, but there are a lot of people out there that just fake it and pretend. You get realism here, honestly. Like, I don't like it. I tell you why. I'm honest with my feelings, and I give you the truth. You go watch a lot of reviewers online, they just like everything, and they're just giving you fucking lies the entire time, honestly. That's such bad. That's the truth. Like, no one likes everything, and honestly, not everything is good to everybody. And, I feel bad about that, but at the same time, at least it's real.
Real shit. Thank you for listening. I'm kidding.
Well, at least by next week, we'll be in our impression zone. However, I won't be here.
Oh, no.
I will be on vacation. I will, be living it up at the beach. I'm very, very excited. But, after that, I'll be back and I'll be starting my impressions. But you guys get first crack. And maybe you'll be able to hear something past next week. So we shall see. Now you can go ahead and follow us on our social media, on Twitter at AAA Podcast, on Facebook, on Discord, where you can go and join us for a ton of different fun discussions and clubs like Anime Club. We are going to be discussing Girls Last Tour next Wednesday. So not this current Wednesday, but the next Wednesday after that. So that should be pretty fun. You can also find us on TikTok at @the_anime_addicts. And as I said before, we're going to get into summer impressions next week. So maybe if you're interested, join the betting degeneracy. Start betting on what shows will pass, because I know they're going to get into that soon. And join Summer Mid-Wars, because it's going to be a bloodbath. It'll be pretty fun. So I will see you guys next week, but you'll see the general podcast next week. So have a good one.
Bye,
everyone. Thanks for listening.